Former Vice President Atiku Abubakar and the 2023 presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Peter Obi, met with northern political leaders from across the 19 northern states as coalition talks intensify ahead of the 2027 presidential election. The event, believed to have been convened by the Secretariat of the Emerging Coalition, brought together hundreds of political figures under the banner of the National Political Consultative Group, North, in Abuja. Apart from Atiku and Obi, other dignitaries at the meeting included former Rivers State Governor Rotimi Amechi, former Governor Kogi State Governor Captain Idris Wada, former Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice Abubakar Malami, who delivered the keynote address on insecurity in the North. Joining us on this show to discuss highlights of the meeting and the way forward for the coalition is Salihu Lukman, former All Progressives Congress National Vice Chairman in the North. Welcome to the morning show, Mr. Salihu Lukman. Thank you for joining us.
Morning, Dr. Abati. Morning, Bimbaya. Morning, Rufai.
Good morning.
Bless you.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
In the last 2 days, we've been discussing the political consultative meeting of leaders from the North with representation from the South. Now, in the communique that was issued, the Northern leaders are saying, industrialization in the North, they will support whoever will promote Northern interests and all of that. And then, of course, within that atmosphere, it was an anti-Tinubu, anti-APC gathering. But speaking personally, I don't think Tinubu is the problem of the North. The problem of the North are the Northern leaders themselves. But the objective of saying that the North needs to be moved forward and that issues of interest to the North need to be addressed, those are important issues. What do you think is the way forward? Or do you agree with those who think Tinubu is the problem of the North?
Well, thank you, Dr. Abati. First, I think let's get it very clear. This initiative, the National Political Consultative Group, the Northern Group, is an initiative which has been ongoing, and in terms of the focus is to do everything possible to unite political leaders in the North. And it didn't just start today. We've been working on it for almost a year now. And the Sunday meeting is the second expanded meeting. Before the expanded meetings, we've had series of meetings, consultation with political leaders in terms of how to organize ourselves, how to even begin to position ourselves to evaluate what are really the challenges. We can assume we know the challenges, and many people approach it from different perspectives. So the issue of how we get consensus around what are the challenges and how do we begin to engage them inform the approach to the meeting itself, which is why the last meeting, the main focus was on the issue of insecurity. Before the last meeting, I think 2 weeks ago, we had another expanded meeting, which was the first expanded meeting. That one had a general approach in terms of reviewing the political challenges facing the North. And in all of it, like you've highlighted in terms of what is captured in the resolutions, where the North stand is not, nobody can say we are happy with what we have presently. And therefore, what we do to get out of it is fundamentally the issue. We are not passing the buck. We are not, the issue of Asuwaju or anybody in government is fundamentally secondary. The fundamental issue is what are we going to do in the first place in order to have a complete new orientation to the business of politics and business of governance. And in terms of all of that, of course, you highlighted it's not just the question of industries. One of the things we said we are going to do, we are going to have like a kind of blueprint committee that will sit down and look at what needs to be done and put them almost like a development plan, on the basis of which we will use it to engage our governments at the state level in all the 19 states of the northern region, and begin to address some of the key issues which, I mean, it's beyond commentary now. You know, whether you talk of out-of-school children, you talk of poverty, you talk of all the indices that now have become embarrassing in terms of the situation facing the North. There is that commitment to to try and do things differently. I think this is the clarification which needs to be made from the beginning. So when we talk of, for instance, moving forward, adopting a party, we are not looking at a situation where we have another party that will come and continue business as usual, culture of imposition of candidate, and when people get elected, they are unaccountable. That's not the objective. The objective is to ensure we have a complete new template whereby people will be elected, and after election, they will be accountable both to the party and to the citizens.
Okay. Thank you so much for that. And I'm really glad you touched on the issue of how candidates are chosen within party structures, because I know you've been extremely vocal about your position where you feel that, the president and various other, even the governors, lawmakers shouldn't be given automatic tickets. They shouldn't be just be given endorsements. However, when President Buhari was going for his second term, he was a beneficiary of these automatic tickets and endorsements as well. So are you saying that this model was a mistake? Was it the wrong thing to do to give him the automatic ticket? Because that's is your issue with an automatic ticket for President Tinubu and those currently in office at the moment? Because it seems you have a bigger qualm with this issue.
My sister Wimbai, that it has happened in the past does not make it right. And I think that is the starting point. We must acknowledge if mistake is committed, it's a mistake. I think the main issue is that we must have a strategy that humble leaders and challenge them to deliver. And when they don't deliver, we should be citizens, including party members, should have the right to pass judgment on them. That is fundamentally what democracy is all about. Once you take that out of democracy, then democracy loses its essence. In fact, the whole essence of struggling against military rule, will be defeated if at the end of the day, this is all that you are going to have and we'll continue to rationalize it. And which is why for many of us, in terms of all of this thing, we keep making the point. We are not looking for a political party simply because we want to defeat President Aswaju. No. We are looking for a political party because we want to ensure that we give a new orientation to that party and we return the old politics whereby party leaders are truly the leaders of the party and elected officials are accountable to the party leaders. So, which is why we are taking all the time to negotiate it, and ensure that by the time we come out, and very soon, all this phase will be concluded. And by the time we come out, Nigerians will see, yes, this is truly a new approach to the business of organizing politics and a new approach to the business of competition to bring out candidates. Because once internally inside a political party, you don't allow competition to take place, then the capacity of that party to participate in wider national competition will be weak. And at the end of the day, you are almost setting yourself up for issues, things like rigging. So we want to ensure that anybody, which is why our position, many of us in the coalition negotiation, are insisting that everybody must come ready. We are not talking about candidate now, but for you to become a candidate, you must be ready to contest internally within the party. And the decision of party members will be the determining factor in terms of whether you'll be candidate or not. We are not going to set ourselves up in a situation whereby we end up replicating the old mistake and riding on only the frustration of Nigerians to defeat incumbents. No, I think, and we must appeal to Nigerians to also challenge us to remain focused in that, so that the whole question of democracy is broadened beyond the issue of just fielding candidates. We must come back to the situation whereby beyond fielding candidates, after people win election, they are accountable. And the party should have the capacity to discipline leaders. I mean, look at what is going on in PDP, for instance. When one individual has become almost more than the party itself, and the party is so weak that it's unable to contain such a person. So long as we don't correct that kind of issue from the beginning, we are going to set ourselves up and end up presenting Nigeria with another disappointment.
Real quickly, I'd like to ask this. The bigger question will be, who will concede for another? I know you will say, we have not gone into that part of the conversation yet. But is there a possibility, a remote possibility, that this coalition group will move the way of a southern candidate?
No doubt. I mean, first, let me tell you, Mr. Rufai, the question of conceding, once you start talking of conceding, it means you are now even projecting that election will not take place within the party. The most fundamental issue is that election must take place. And whoever has majority followership should be the person that will be fielded by the party. Now, of course, the other issue, which is around the question of equity, which is the last point you are making around the question of southern candidate, that is the turn of the South to spend another 8 years. All those are issues that we can tell Nigerians that internally, in terms of negotiating the rule of the party, we'll make sure that those are addressed and factored in. But at the end of the day, whatever rule we are going to put in place will not be such that will undermine the right of party members to participate. These are very delicate situations. But fundamentally, at this preliminary stage, what we are telling everybody in the coalition is that, please, first and foremost, drop your ambition. Let's focus in building the party first. Because if we don't do that, people with ambition will now want to take over the structures of the party. And at the end of the day, they will now want to put their surrogates as leaders of the party. And we'll end up going back to where we are coming from. So, really, first thing first, this is the position for all of us. Let's get the party right, and let's ensure the party has the right leadership which is not going to be have the kind of outlook of being surrogate to aspiring candidates. Leaders who can look at everybody. I mean, for instance, I have said that several times, and you will recall, Mr. Rufai, a national chairman should have the profile of the president, so that the national chairman, if the president is doing things that is wrong, can walk up to the president and say, Mr. President, this is not right. This is what should be done. you cannot allow a situation where a potential presidential candidate will put his surrogate as the national chairman of the party. And that surrogate will end up becoming part of the protocol team of the president, escorting the president to the airport when he is traveling, or being at the airport to be part of the reception team. That cannot be a national chairman of a party. So also, all members of the National Working Committee, for instance, must be people of standing so that they will not be so carried away by the desperation to become ministers or appointees of government. I mean, these are things, they are very difficult, but they are being negotiated. The first test of whether we are getting it right will be in the caliber of the leadership of the party that will be presented after we conclude the negotiation.
Okay, I would like to ask you, when you resigned from the APC in 2024, you had said, oh, there was lack of internal democracy in the APC. That same APC that you left, when you look back now, do you regret doing so? Because this is the same APC that people are dissolving into from other political parties. And they have even said in your own zone of Nigeria that Tinubu is a man. And then, of course, the logical question, it will be 2 years on May 29, 2 days from now, that President Tinubu assumed office on the basis of the renewed hope agenda. What will be your assessment of his scorecard?
Well, on the first one, Dr. Bati, you know, that people are dissolving into APC. I mean, my response is simple. Many of those going into APC are doing so out of selfish interests. They are not doing so out of the overriding interests of their constituents or the citizens of Nigeria. And largely, it's also a reflection of the fact that there are no alternative in terms of availability of parties, you know. Everybody, most of those, including governors, which is the shocking part for me. For me, when you see a governor decamping going to APC simply because he wants to guarantee second term, my simple analogy is that that person may be first unqualified to be holding such a position, because once you are a governor, the Constitution has guaranteed you certain privileges which for life you will continue to enjoy, and those things were given largely because so that you now concentrate in terms of service delivery. You provide selfless service without fear of losing anything, you know. But here we are with people who clearly don't merit that kind of consideration which the Constitution of the Federal Republic has provided. Now, to your second question about the scorecard of President Tinubu and APC government for 2 years, I mean, it's predictable if anybody, based on my even previous writing, nothing has changed from almost 2 months after the coming of Asuwaju when I saw the wrong step. You remember one of the first open letter I wrote to him was disturbing signals, raising alarm about how he is getting it wrong. And subsequently, I made the point that renewed hope had become renewed anger, so much so that people are agitated all over the place, you know. And being an insider, I was there and I have read the Renewed Hope document. I campaigned on the basis of it. I can say I'm well informed in terms of the content of the Renewed Hope promises we have made. Nothing has come close so far to delivering on what we promised Nigerians, which is the disappointing part in terms of my assessment of President Asuwaju.
Okay.
I had very high rating of President Asuwaju, but to be honest, his performance in the last 2 years has betrayed whatever expectation I had of him.
Okay, on that note.
I mean,
Thank you so much for your time and your contributions this morning. We continue to look forward on further developments from the coalition.